Things are pretty good on my end. Glad to have you back, Pablo.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I'm excited. Um, yeah, I guess we'll get started in 10 minutes. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different this town hall, uh, where I actually don't have a great estimate on the time, but maybe 15-ish, 20 minutes will be spent just doing kind of a talk. So I think it'd be good to do something like this every now and then, where someone from the executive branch kind of gives a little bit of a context on like what we've been doing and kind of like more of a narrative, like a historical narrative on like where MoonDAO is moving and where MoonDAO is going. So um, yeah, it's been something I've been kind of tinkering around with a little bit, and I'm excited to share some thoughts. So yeah, um, yeah. So we'll get started in 8 minutes or so, and then jump right into it, and then we'll do the normal town hall and project updates as well, of course.
Yeah, other than that, it should be a short one this week. No new projects to vote on, just the roundtable.
thought I'd try to turn on my camera since I'm going to be talking for a little while, so you guys can see me and it's a little bit more engaging. Yeah, just got back from a trip. Yeah. As you guys can see, I did not shave during the trip. So I was doing a pilgrimage, a walk in the north of Spain, from a city called Oviedo to Santiago, and it was over a whole mountain range, and you can imagine me just walking somewhere from 17 to 18 miles a day. It varied a little bit, but it was mostly around the same amount each day. And so, yeah, as you can imagine, I had a lot of time to think about MoonDAO, and a lot of time to just kind of like zoom out and get some big picture, ideas around like the work that we're doing. And yeah, I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you guys here. And also in general, I think as a format, I think it could be good to use some of this town hall time to, if anyone does have a topic or something that they want to share, or kind of do more of like a presentation, that we should be using this time for that as well. So anyways, yeah, I guess without too much ado, what I want to talk about in this call is, I've titled it, I guess, the quote unquote future of MoonDAO. And more than anything, I want to get to like a core question of like what is MoonDAO, and what are we trying to achieve? And I know that that's probably something that you guys to some extent all have an idea formed in your head around, but yeah, spending some time away from MoonDAO, I realized that this question has kind of become almost like what water is to a fish. We spend so much time in it and so much time swimming around in MoonDAO that we kind of it becomes obvious to us in a way, and almost not expressed. And I think that it should be a little bit more explicit, and we have been writing about it for a while. And I think that for those that haven't already, I do want to point to some kind of like core documents that I think that everyone at MoonDAO should have kind of in the top of their mind. The first of which is the Constitution, which is something that we all wrote as a community, but that really it doesn't get to what MoonDAO is so much, but more of like how MoonDAO functions, which I think is it does answer some part of the question. It gives you some perspective on it. Same with the project system, which is another way of how MoonDAO works, which also gets to some idea of like what is MoonDAO. If you have an idea of what the values and the mission is, and how it works, how the governance works, you kind of get a picture of what MoonDAO is. And then the last big document was something that I wrote about a year ago, which is on the sort of like I forget what it was titled. It was a 3-part article, basically, on the I think it was like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but just a general historical narrative of what MoonDAO is and where it's going. And so today I'd kind of like to, I guess, add a little bit on that article. So yeah, I don't know if maybe someone can fish out the link to it, but it was published sometime in August of last year, and basically it outlined this idea of like where MoonDAO was at the time, and where it should be going. So I think like in as few words as possible, the way to kind of compress the idea of MoonDAO is that we're trying to invent a framework. We're trying to scale coordination on a very difficult problem. We're trying to develop basically almost like a coalition of sorts. We're trying to get people from all over the world that are interested in trying to solve a very, very difficult problem of lunar settlement, and it's something ambitious. It's something that is somewhat outside of the Overton window. Something that is a bit polarizing almost. When that mission statement is told to someone, their first reaction might be, "That's impossible," and I think that's a good reaction. It's something that's like it starts to stretch the realm of possibility, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve with MoonDAO. Is we're trying to make things possible that seem impossible. So how does a group of strangers on the internet, how do they collaborate to solve one of the most complex problems on Earth? And it's this telos. It's this thing that kind of drives the whole idea forward. It answers the question of like why a DAO, because oftentimes, maybe the reason that someone starts a DAO is it's a decentralized thing, it's an autonomous thing, but why are you doing it? And in our case, it's to solve a problem that otherwise we would not be able to solve as people on the internet. Without the invention of a new framework, it would be impossible. And so we're trying to invent something that hasn't happened before, and that is fundamentally a very difficult thing to do. And yeah, it's an iterative process that we're doing as a community. So we've already gone through many iterations of what this framework looks like. We've iterated on our governance procedures, on our project system, and we're starting to get an idea of what works and what doesn't work. It's an in vitro study, so we're really testing and experimenting and going into the praxis of a DAO. So we're actually trying these ideas as opposed to just creating a theoretical framework around them. And that's also difficult because we're building the airplane while it's in motion. Every new update, every new thing that we do, it needs to be consistent with what we're already doing. I think like that offers at least some context around like what is MoonDAO. And I'd also like to share a little bit about like where we've been. So initially, the idea of MoonDAO is that there'd be 5 phases, and we've kind of the roadmap has changed quite a bit, but the fundamental structure is still there. The first phase was to create the inception of the DAO. This was like raising money to send someone to space. The second phase was to actually send someone to space. And I think by most measures, we're still in that phase because we're sending our second astronaut now. We thought we'd send both astronauts at the same time, but fate decided differently. And so now we're entering into what is probably what at the time was the least defined aspect of the roadmap, which is to fund research and development. And so essentially the framework that we've been building is really around how do we give money to productive individuals that help us solve this sort of long-term mission that we have. And in answering that question, we've come up with a lot of hypotheses, and some have worked, some haven't. For example, the guild structure was something that we attempted, but didn't quite work. It didn't quite really get to where we wanted. The project system has had a bit more longevity, but even then, it has its shortcomings. But it has kind of acted as somewhat of a framework that gets us to the next thing. But in sort of all of these hypotheses, there's kind of a common theme, which is how do you go from a proposal, something that's just written on paper, to actually implementing it? How do you get people in the real world to actually do those things and to work on them? And this is the transition from sort of the virtual world into the real world, and that requires real work. And so over time, that sort of line of thinking has culminated in what we kind of approximated as this sort of prize model, or a D prize, and that's kind of what we've been working towards in the past several months. And And kind of as a side quest, but a very important fundamental layer of this D prize is the idea of identity, right? Because as you have people working on it, you have to define what are those things that are doing the work, and those are individuals, those are organizations, and there needs to be a way to sort of represent those within the framework that we've created. And this has been, to some degree, kind of a missing component for MoonDAO since the beginning. Oftentimes, the question that we're asked is, how many MoonDAO members are there? And it's actually relatively difficult to answer. It seems like a straightforward answer, but there's 12,000 Mooney holders. Is that what it means to be a member of MoonDAO? Are there 12,000 people? There's 30,000 people in the Discord. Is that what it means? There's maybe a couple hundred people that have staked. Is that what it means to be a MoonDAO member? And I think that we've kind of actually this has been a core component that's been missing for a long time, which is that of sort of like identity and ownership. And I think that something that the project system did not do correctly is that it didn't really necessarily assign ownership. The project, it's something that the DAO is doing, right? So there's kind of like this collection of individuals that are working on the project, but there is no ownership of that project. And I think that this must be, or it seems to me that it is a fundamental core concept that must be created before you start to look into governance and incentives and all of these other things. And we kind of started to build governance and incentives around this very loosely defined idea of what it means to be a member. And I think over time, that's kind of bitten us in the butt a little bit, because we don't have this kind of like very straightforward onboarding mechanism, this straightforward way to go from a non-member to a member, or even a way of interfacing with organizations and companies that we've worked with, like Space for a Better World or LifeShip or even Blue Origin. There's always been kind of this dynamic where we're going from a real-world representation of an organization and interfacing that with this virtual representation of the DAO. And so what we've kind of been working on is basically a way of bringing in those companies and individuals. And I think that this is these are like the nodes that make the network. And then on top of that, like once all of that is written on chain, then we can really start to implement a lot of these ideas around the D prize and incentives. But essentially, I think, what was missing a lot in our system is this idea of ownership, of what it really means to kind of have your identity within the MoonDAO ecosystem, and really define that in a very clear and simple and straightforward way. And so that is essentially what we've been working towards with the citizen and entities system that will launch by the end of next month, at the end of the quarter. But I think that there's still a fundamental question, which is what does governance look like in this D prize model that we've been looking at. So and I guess to circle back, D prize is, you can think of it almost as like a decomposed project. It's similar to a project in that there is an idea, there's an objective, there's something that needs to be solved, but the difference is that who implements that is actually undefined, and that it actually kicks off a game, essentially a competition, a prize for who will actually end up implementing the thing. And this has several benefits. First of which is that it allows for an individual to join MoonDAO and then immediately start working on its core problems. So it's a more asynchronous way of getting people involved inside of the organization. Rather than having them fill out a whole proposal and to work on something, there's actually a set of work that anyone can sort of like start working towards. And you don't necessarily need to become embedded into a team, which is also a very slow, synchronous type of thing. Usually within a project, there's already an existing team, and onboarding someone into that team is somewhat of a difficult process, because you need to kind of create all of those relationships between that new team member and the existing team. However, in a prize, you can actually compete against existing teams. And it's meritocratic in that whoever actually solves the problem is the one that gets the reward assigned with that project. So it doesn't work for every single thing, and I don't think it entirely replaces the project system, but many of the things that we've done that were projects, I think, could be represented as prizes, and I think that there would be no loss, and it would probably only be good in those cases. There's some exceptions where certain work that's proposed can really only be done by one certain group or one person, and that's why I think we should still keep the project system. But in this prize model, you can have organizations and individuals that aren't that don't I guess, quote unquote, die at the end of each quarter. Something that kind of creating our whole DAO off the basis of projects is done, is that we're constantly reinventing MoonDAO each quarter. And I think this has served its purpose. It has created sort of this very high entropy, quick moving sort of like experimental framework, because every new idea basically ends at the end of the quarter. But what it has done, though, is it kind of kills the momentum of a growing membership base. Because at the end of each quarter, that team basically dissolves, and actually reforming a team is quite difficult. It's a pretty expensive process to pass a new proposal and to get back into the mix. However, with this prize model, once you're a member, you basically are by default a member, and that's kind of has its own momentum. So we can start to really track membership and the number of organizations on sort of a growing basis. And on top of that, as we get more organizations into the mix, we can really start providing services. And so I think that something else that's been kind of like a missing core fundamental feature of MoonDAO is we didn't have a core product or service. So we had many different ideas for different products and different services, and those each were different projects. So for example, LifeShip was a product that MoonDAO was working on. 0G was a product that MoonDAO was working on. The marketplace also, but these don't fill in sort of like the core product or thing that MoonDAO is creating. And I think that this will be sort of what really defines MoonDAO going forward, which is basically in providing services and products to organizations and members, and basically acting almost like the mycelium or the connective tissue between all these different organizations, and helping basically expedite someone going from an idea to a real implementation, and finding basically a useful niche within a larger ecosystem. And so, yeah, I think that once we have this sort of like well-defined organizations and entity structure, it actually creates a core that can be built on top of. Right now, before we had this idea of citizen entities, we're building on a kind of almost like a hollow core. There's no core piece of product or service that we're building around. It's kind of just a tree of all these different products and services, but without a trunk. And so I think this will basically serve as the trunk. And so, okay, I've covered basically a big portion of defining MoonDAO, which is how it works and what the core product and service is. But I haven't really gotten to its sort of like intelligence, which is its governance. And this is something else that we've been iterating on quite a bit. So right now, in order to sort of get involved with governance, essentially we poll every single member of the DAO, and we ask them, do you think this is a good idea? So we go to every single member, and every single member can vote and look at a proposal and say, yes, this is a good idea. No, this isn't a good idea. And there's a fundamental flaw there, which is that a democracy, I think, or it's kind of like the worst form of governance, except for all of the other ones, right? So we're using a democracy, but it might not be the best thing that we can invent for the type of structure that we're after. And I've drawn a lot of inspiration over the past couple of weeks on this paper that was published by Merkel. Merkel, he's like a OG cryptographer, and he actually published an idea that builds on this other guy. I think his name is Robin Hanson, on what's called a futarchy. So this is I think it's short for like future, like a futarchy. The idea is you're actually trying to create a prediction market on whether or not a proposal will be good or bad for an organization. I think it's like future. I don't know what I don't know if it's short for something or if it's just futarchy. But anyways, it's, the idea is pretty profound, and I recommend that you guys give it a look. It's basically a new idea around governance, where rather than asking and polling the entire community on whether or not they think a certain proposal is good or bad, you actually create a prediction market based on whether or not the proposal should pass or not pass. And essentially, what you're trying to guess at is whether the proposal passing will actually improve like happiness or contentment within the organization, or make it worse. And the way that you kind of poll for whether or not the organization is happy or not is on some time basis, say like every quarter or every year. Everyone fills out basically a poll from 0 to 1. 1 being that they're extremely happy and everything is perfect in the DAO, and 0 being that everything is terrible and that the organization is basically almost hurting them at that point. And you take the average of every single one of the members of the organization. So in our case, if we're defining members through this sort of like new core identity for citizens and organizations, we basically pull those users of the MoonDAO's product and say, are we fulfilling your needs? And what we could do, and I think it's a really interesting idea and worth exploring, is essentially create a prediction market using the MOONEY token on whether or not any one proposal will actually improve the experience of citizens and organizations or make it worse. And so now the fundamental question that you're asking is a proprioceptive one. So you're asking a question about yourself, which is something that you do have a lot of knowledge on, about your state and whether or not you actually are enjoying the DAO or not, rather than a question about the proposal itself, which requires a lot of kind of intelligence and context around that one proposal. And then you're leaving it up to basically a prediction market where people bet on whether or not the proposal will improve the lives of the people inside of the DAO or make it worse. And if you're right, you actually stand to make money off of the prediction market because you're placing a bet. So it being a market-driven incentive, you're basically incentivized to as accurately portray the truth as possible. And if you're wrong, you lose money. So it's really putting your money where your mouth is, and trying to provide as much high signal to noise ratio as possible. So I think it's a really, really, really interesting idea. And it's something that could be even applied to our prize model, where competitors on a certain prize, their allocation of funding could be based off of this prediction market on who is most likely to complete the objective. first. And so I think that there's some really interesting greenfield to explore around all of those ideas that get us closer to this like framework for organizing and for organizing all these companies and individuals to do something that was basically deemed impossible. Yeah, Jiggly Jams has linked the right article there. So, all right, I guess tying this all together, yeah, we're still experimenting a lot, and we're entering into this third phase, but we have a bunch of sort of historical evidence on what works, what doesn't work, and we have got this like big green field in front of us. All of these like really exciting ideas for what might work and what might not work for DAOs. I think that the really exciting thing about our field is that it is not a solved field. It is not something that there's a blueprint around it. There's no one's homework that we can copy and say, oh, let's do that. But it's a very collaborative environment, and we can look at what a lot of other DAOs are doing and kind of draw inspiration. But ultimately, no one knows, and so it's really exciting. And I think that we have probably what I think is the most interesting problem to solve in our lifetime of becoming as Elon says, a multi-planet species, of sort of escaping the scarcity of Earth for the abundance of the universe. And I think that it's kind of this inflection point on human civilization. And the big question is, are we going to be able to pull it off or not? And if we can invent these better methods of coordination, if we can actually do something here that hasn't been done before, we might have a chance of making the impossible possible. We might have a chance of organizing people from all over the world, and do so productively in a way that kind of compounds their work on one another. So I think a lot of people they have a very difficult time wrapping their head around exponential curves. And like essentially what we want to build as an organization is an organization that compounds. That even if we just get 1% better, every quarter, that compounds pretty quickly. And I think that we've been doing a lot better than 1%. I think that we've been improving at a faster rate than that. But essentially, I think that if we continue to improve and continue to sort of solve all of the series of problems that we're finding and sort of collaborating through the internet, we have a chance of even though we look slow now, of surpassing a lot of other forms of collaboration. Those being more traditional, like a government that coordinates a bunch of different companies. So I think that we're doing really awesome work, and I think that we're really just beginning to scratch the surface of what a DAO is, and therefore what MoonDAO is. But I think that we're making really great progress towards those questions. Thank you guys for listening. I've gone a little bit longer than actually no, it's about 30 minutes. I think that's around what I was allocating for. I had many hours to think about MoonDAO on my trip, and hopefully I've kind of done that justice here. I think that there's still a lot that I've left out. There are a bunch of different things that we're doing here at MoonDAO that is really hard to encapsulate sometimes, and I also really want to highlight the work that Mitchie, Colin, and Ryan have been doing. So I've been gone basically the past 3 weeks, and I don't think MoonDAO is really even like I haven't noticed a blink in its operation. It's been extremely consistent thanks to their work, and they've done such a good job. And this is I've been MoonDAO's existed for about 3 years, and I've never taken really more than a few days off. Even when I have traveled, I've pretty much been consistently working. But this is actually the first time that I've stepped away in a real way, where I've kind of I haven't really even been checking in. And yeah, Mitchie, Colin, and Ryan have you guys don't need me, basically. um, to some degree, you guys have done such a good job that I think no one's really even noticed. MoonDAO has been operating just as well as it always does. So, really want to highlight them and all the good work they've been doing. But yeah, all right, I've hit exactly the 30-minute mark, so I'll stop now. But if there are any questions around what I've said, or you guys want to, or anyone wants to talk one on one, I'm very easy to reach through DMs. My DMs are always open. And if you want to fit into this kind of bigger picture of where MoonDAO is going, and you're looking for a way to contribute, definitely reach out and yeah, I'm really like, I think that sometimes we're working so hard that we forget to be excited. It's really easy to just kind of get into the day to day of things, and I think just taking some time off really made me realize that, like, we're doing, I think, the most audacious and crazy and exciting thing that I can even think of. And it takes some time away from that to really reflect and go, wow, holy shit, I can't believe that my day to day is working on this. It's it's awesome to be able to say that. So um, yeah, cool. I guess we'll go back to the town hall as scheduled. Mitchie, I'll pass it over to you. And yeah, thanks everyone.
Cool. Thanks, Pablo. And thank you for the call out. I just want to say though that we do still need you around, but the reason why everything went so smoothly was in large part thanks to you setting the stage and everything before you left, and you know, getting all the balls rolling in the right direction. So yeah, thank you for that. Um, yeah, I guess we can move into the agenda for today. So we don't have anything to vote on, but we do have our roundtable um, roundtable to do. Give me 1 second. I'll bring up the agenda. I think Pablo, you're first, so you're still talking, although it's just for the Mooney distribution. I don't think we have many updates there.
Yeah, no updates there since I've been gone. So yeah, pass it back to
Right.
you.
Well, yeah, still waiting on the Arbitrum stuff anyway. Even if we were still working on it, it's still in the holding pattern. Colin, do you want to go next with the CNE updates?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got V1 of the entity and citizen contracts ready. Yeah, Sheldon just sent over some new ones. Ryan went through and tested the onboarding flow. He gave some good feedback there, so we're making some adjustments. The image generator needs to be optimized. It kind of slows down the page. But yeah, other than that, just kind of iterating over what we already have, looking into GDPR stuff, looking at like how ENS does it, that kind of thing. And yeah, should be good to go by the end of next month.
Very nice. I'll just throw in here too, because I'm not really sure. I guess this connects back to the citizen and entities in some form, but I've been working on changes to the layout for some of our internal pages and the welcome page, which is now live in the app. It's basically just like a modified version of our current homepage, and we'll eventually replace the homepage soon enough. We'll just have this one place for people to go. Very excited about that. But if you guys want to go check it out, it's all live now. I can post a link to it here, but everyone should know where it's at. Um, 1 second. Sorry. There we go. Still didn't work. There we go. Yeah. Next on the agenda here is well, we have D-size CVs with Phil, and I have royalty on here as well. If one of you guys wants to jump up. Phil, can you not just like jump up on the stage
I'm
without?
logging in from my phone again, and I don't know how to. On my computer, I can just jump up, but on my phone, I have to request.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Royalty has more details on this, but here's what I've seen, what I've observed over the past week. A few users have been submitting research to both publish and appear in our community radar. A few bug reports were submitted due to some issues with the app where it was preventing publishing. My hypothesis here, and I haven't confirmed this with the team, but my hypothesis is that users had 0 funds in their DeSci wallet. And that's a wallet provisioned by DeSci when you sign up, when you log in. And I think that the publish submit the transaction, but with 0 funds, there was no, it was rejected due to insufficient funds to complete the transaction itself. So I'm not sure how DeSci responded to that, if they just added funds to, like, I don't think it's a lot. I think it's a like negligible amount of money, but above 0, right? So that the app crashed. I don't know how DeSci solved it, but they did. I don't know if they fixed the app or just added funds to the users' wallets to get past the issue for now. But the good news is we have at least 4 nodes in the MoonDAO radar, and 3 show up in our curated list because the users claimed attestations that meet our criteria, and other users validated those attestations. So the system it works when it works, but it's been rough. There's some other things too, like the DeSci developers are really focusing specifically on the attestations part, but we as users are learning how to use the platform as a whole. So there's things that I think that need to be done for us to like submit good work, like reviewing each other's work, and basically doing our internal peer review on what we should submit, how it should look, and what makes good a quality node. So there's some work there to do, but it's not technical work. It's more learning how to be researchers. So long story short, we are kicking the tires, and we had to have demonstrations of successful end-to-end use cases of the community validations, but it hasn't been as smooth as I expected. Luckily, the dev team has been really active in responding to our requests for help.
So last week we heard that there was like some issues on their end, on DeSci Labs' end, that were preventing you guys from doing work. Have those things been unblocked then?
Yeah, that's the main one was the thing I just described about the wallets not having funds. Like when we click the publish button, it doesn't publish. And we had like at least 3 instances, 3 different users run into that bug and all submitted reports. And all of those nodes that we tried to publish and didn't work, we have since published. But I don't know if the actual root cause has been resolved or if DeSci did a Band-Aid in the background to progress us, to unblock us from testing.
I see. Okay. Well, it's good to know that at least there's been some progress on that front.
Yeah. And one of the OKRs for this project was like onboarding professionals that submit research to like traditional academic institutions. Given the experience that I've personally had with interacting with the system, I think it's too soon to have that be a realistic goal. Because if I showed this to somebody and I just said, I want you to publish your research, and they have to figure out all this crap and report bugs and know what's working, what they're doing wrong, or what this app is doing wrong, it's just bad first impressions. So yeah, I don't, we won't meet that OKR that we set. But I don't think we should push too hard to really close it, because I don't think it's good in the long run. I think it's too soon.
Cool. Okay. Well, at least we have some learnings in that regard. It seems to
Yeah.
kind of go in hand with some other stuff we've learned on like other projects where we get into something just a little too early, and
Yep.
yeah, like we've made that mistake before with Spect, for example.
Yeah, I think we should definitely keep up the relationship. And as we're writing and sharing our ideas with the established space industry, we can, we'll write white papers on D-Prize, we'll write white papers on, we can submit papers to conferences about some of the projects we've done, even like LifeShip and stuff like that. And we should just like casually keep publishing to DeSci. But yeah, I think it's, as a project, it's too soon. It was too soon.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for the updates. As we can move on here, the next one is the second astronaut support. We don't have our astronaut this week. Oh, good to see the bots, the new moderation features working. But yeah, I don't know if I guess there are some updates there though in terms of media publicity. I guess Ryan, maybe you could update a little more on that, or we can get Titan up here too.
Yeah, Andrew, if you have anything you want to add, feel free to raise your hand. Not a ton of updates though. Like you said, Iman is on vacation in Spain right now. I think I did share last week though that there was a podcast that was released last, I think it was Wednesday, on the Space and Things podcast, which was a really great episode. If you haven't listened to that, definitely give it a listen. We're still waiting on another podcast to be released. The Interplanetary podcast. It looks like he publishes about once a month though, so that still hasn't out. And Iman shared that it looks like the local TV interview that he did there in Tennessee is going to be going up this Sunday, perhaps. So we'll see. That should be cool. We had a bill go through the Tennessee state legislature as well, which the governor signed. We're just kind of waiting for like the presentation of the bill and whatnot. And Andrew and I have been talking about like patch designs and other things, kind of async while Iman's out and things going for when he comes back. And there are a few other things on schedules and on the agenda for when he comes back in the States. Titan, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add there.
No, that pretty much covers it.
Cool, good stuff. Glad to hear it's catching some vibes, getting out there. Cool.
Yeah, I did add Andrew. We should get you on the team page as well. But I did add Iman to the docs team page there. He got his bio and he's linked as a Rocketeer and all that. Also added Colin to the executive branch, so that was I'm over.
Definitely. Yeah, Titan, if you want to send Ryan or me your bio, then we can get you updated on the site too.
I'll do that.
Cool. Next on the agenda here, also for Ryan, is the Skyline Digital updates. Although I think there's only one small update there.
Yeah,
Only
real quick.
you-
Yeah,
you can-
nothing major, but we should be able to do the wallet verification signatures. Me, Mitchie, and Pablo here hopefully tomorrow, and then we'll see what the next step is. But hopefully, I'll have a bigger update next week.
Cool. And finally, we've got Nance Integration with Mr. Jiggly.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, there's I guess I could do a quick demo showing like I have like a test server running where I've implemented blind polling and can do a little screen share if we got time. One sec. Just minimizing some things. Okay. Bring Discord over here. Yeah, so this is just running locally. I've gone to submit a new proposal and just entering a title.
Hey, can you choose to share the screen of just your browser application? Your screen is super wide, and it makes your browser pretty small in the preview.
Can you see Discord as well or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
If you can't figure it out in like 10 seconds, then go back to normal. Go back to what you were doing.
Yeah, because I gotta show Discord too. So I'm gonna sign this message. Which
Oh, okay? That's intended. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry. So like I'm signing in kind of the same format that Snapshot does, and this allows us to publish a snapshot, like I think I mentioned last town hall. When I sign and submit, it'll create a thread in like my Nance test server, and attach like this, attach some info on the proposal, such as the author, and some attached actions, which would be something like requesting a budget would be an action. Attaches this temperature check, and yeah, I'm able to select a temperature check option. This is something that the Rocketeers will be doing during, I guess, any town hall that we have a section discussing new proposals. And this is, the Rocketeer can change their selection. The bot just responds that the vote was recorded with an ephemeral only you can see message. And yeah, so no one will be able to see how anyone's temperature checking. And yeah, that's the gist. And then I'm still implementing like the part that will, close this temperature check at the specified time and tally the results and move it over into voting if it shall pass.
That's
yeah.
so awesome. It's like I won't have to have Discord open in two separate windows, and then it's like be bringing up this freaking poll bot every time in separate windows.
Exactly.
And you click
And,
away, and it all disappears. Yeah, it's frustrating to use. So
yeah,
this
poll
is
bot's
so cool.
crazy.
I have a usage question.
Yeah.
So, your Nance post showed up kind of right away. Does this mean a senator could, or someone with the correct role, cast their temperature check prior to the town hall?
Pass the temperature check?
Like,
You mean?
cast it, like hit the button and have it recorded prior to the town hall?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it seems like a good feature.
And is the submitted, I don't know what to call it, the proposal or whatever, is that editable? Or would you have to submit a new proposal with changes made?
No, you can edit. So like if you come, well, this opens it in our main interface, but one sec. If I go back, I can like come here and edit the proposal, update the title, and re-sign the message.
Mm-hmm. Would that
Yeah.
make a new thread?
It should just update this. I'm not sure what failed just now, but I
Okay.
think
We'll see how this
maybe-
works. I have a hunch that we actually might want to not have it updatable after you submit it. And then you just have to submit a new one. But that's a hunch. I don't know. It might get in the way. Be too much hassle and too much noise. So this is really cool. I like where this is going.
Thanks. Yeah, if we can modify those sorts of things later if we want. Yeah, and edit will.
Once we start using it, we'll know what we want.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think this updated the title, but obviously if you edit the title, it'll update here. And yeah, that's the gist. And what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like we're storing these in a new MySQL table that kind of obfuscates like the Discord user ID. So we'll still be able to like publish the polling results without actually revealing like who voted which way. We kind of do a hash of like the Discord ID and the proposal ID with like a secret key, and then so we can still publish this table with a UUID of a proposal and like which way someone polled or temperature checked it, but without disclosing like who that was. So just throwing that out there too. And yeah, let me know if you have any other questions.
Yeah, the anonymous aspect has always been one of the trickier parts about this polling thing. So it's cool to see that you've got a handle on that.
Yeah, I think it's good sufficient so far. And but yeah, if it's an issue, we can tweak. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for all the updates. So yeah, just open floor now. Guess I'll. Oh, I was gonna post a little poll on the channel, but apparently this channel doesn't have the correct permissions. So never mind. But yeah, I guess I said last week I would give an update on my review of my new glasses that I was telling you guys about. So I got that beam accessory, and I would say it's worth it, but it's absolutely not 100% necessary. If you want just the glasses and you're just using it as like a media device, then you don't really need it. But it is pretty cool. I don't know if anyone else has any more relevant updates than that. Then now's the time.
I once again have an open floor update. A couple things. One, yeah, I haven't been as active in MoonDAO. I'm still reading stuff, but I'm in lurking mode. I'm hopefully going to share come July or so some really cool stuff I've been working on that's related to MoonDAO, but I don't really want to talk about it too much because stuff might change. And the second thing is next week I'll be in San Francisco. I'll be there for work, so during the day I'll be working. But afterward, if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, send me a DM and we'll get to dinner or go out for drinks or something. And I will introduce you to my work friends because all of my friends are one group and I don't separate social groups. So Pablo knows that. All right, cool. That's all I got.
Let's do a MoonDAO meetup in San Francisco when you're here.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Cool. Any other updates? Anything else from you, Pablo, that you can bring back from your adventures for us?
Um, well, I didn't tell you guys about the most fun part of the trip. I actually my foot I actually went numb like on the last 4 days of the hike. I pinched a nerve in it, and then yeah, it was quite painful, but persevered. Yeah, it was probably the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm
Like you
not
said, it was numb.
exaggerating. Well, so the thing is, it's somehow both numb and extremely painful. Like it feels like there's rubber like all around my foot and shin. Like if I touch it, it's like there's this like big gap. But then the like deep in the joint and the bone itself is very painful. But yeah, it's healing, and it should heal completely in the next couple weeks. But yeah, that was it's supposed to be a vacation, but in the like medieval times, this was actually considered like a penance. Like this was like a way of like absolving your sins, is like doing this like very, you know, harsh and difficult pilgrimage across the mountains in Spain. So yeah. Yeah, I guess that's my girlfriend's idea of a vacation. But it actually was very, very beautiful, and it was worth it overall, but just painful.
Well, it's good to hear that you actually made it through. I don't think I would have. I'm such a baby that those are things I would have given up.
Yeah, it was definitely against medical advice to continue, but
Yeah, well, you said there were doctors advising doctors on the hike.
yeah, and my girlfriend's a nurse too, so but yeah, all I'm compiling all the photos from the hike, and I'll share some here in MoonDAO too.
Nice. Fixer, it didn't happen. Although I think your beard is proof enough.
Yeah, yeah, this is quite the beard I've got going on. It'll be sad when I shave it.
There we go. I got the poll not working. I've put your fate in this poll, Pablo.
I'm voting for yes, because it's the lazy option.
This is not anonymous either.
Yeah,
By the way.
6-1. Okay.
Yeah, you're keeping it. It's
Yeah,
decided.
prediction market on my beard.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, well, I guess that's it today then. We can wrap things up here. But thanks everyone. Thanks Pablo for the address, and yeah, thanks Coffee Crusher. Hope everyone has a good one and a good weekend.
All right, bye everyone.
See yous.
Welcome to MoonDAO, a revolutionary governance model and mission-oriented community that's reshaping collaboration in the space industry. Our mission is to create a self-sustaining, self-governing settlement on the moon to act as a launch point into the cosmos. MoonDAO is governed like a nation, with its own economy, constitution, voting system, treasury, elections, and senate, but internet native, and so without the limitations of geography. In 2022, we sent our first member to space, showcasing our model's capacity for real-world impact. Now, we're implementing key solutions for global collaboration in the space industry. We offer a borderless, permissionless platform that enables everyday people to participate in the future of space development and exploration. Be part of our lunar legacy and join the MoonDAO movement today.